Hello, guys, and welcome. Today, I want to do something a little bit different. I want to start something like an idea of talking about the thing that I'm the most passionate about, and it is, of course, living with Neville Goddard. And it is very hard to find people to talk about this mystical stuff and his mystical teachings because there are not a lot of people actually following that. Okay, so it's nice to talk with you about that, the whole world, the whole internet, and I hope that we can meet together and talk about our experiences with this phenomenal knowledge. So, moving forward, this is Neville and Chat. So, here we are to talk and chat about the teachings of Neville Goddard. And on the way, okay, here is raining. On the way, by the way, here I will read something. In the beginning, I don't think that there will be any structure to this, so I will just read something somewhere that I am at while doing this. So, for example, here I am reading his book. It's lesson 2, assumptions hardened into fact, and here I am somewhere in the middle. So, here he says, use wisely the interval preceding sleep. Here I have in my life a little bit of a problem because before sleeping I was used to listen to some videos and fall asleep to videos because otherwise I kept on thinking about some different stuff. Okay, so here I'm making progress in this area. Continuing, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and go to sleep in this mood. At night, in a dimensionally larger world, when deep sleep falleth upon men, they see and play the parts that they will later on play on earth. Actually, in my life, I have found that how I see myself is how the other people see me. And when I change the concept of myself, I have seen that also life has changed. So this, from my point of view, is the truth. And the drama is always in harmony with that which their dimensionally greater selves read and play through them. I will read it again. And the drama is always in harmony with that which their dimensionally greater selves read and play through them. Our illusion of free will is but ignorance of the causes which make us act. The sensation which dominates the mind of man as he falls asleep, though false, will harden into fact. Assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled as we fall asleep is the command to this embodying process, saying to our mood, be thou actual. In this way, we become, through a natural process, what we desire to be. So it is a natural process. It is not something forced. It is not something unnatural, but it comes to fruition in a natural, unseen way. I can tell you dozens of personal experiences where it seemed impossible to go elsewhere. But by placing myself elsewhere mentally, as I was about to go to sleep, circumstances changed quickly which compelled me to make the journey. I have done it across water by placing myself at night on my bed as though I slept where I wanted to be. As the days unfolded, things began to mold themselves in harmony with that assumption, and all things that must happen to compel my journey did happen. And I, in spite of myself, must make ready to go toward that place which I assumed I was in when I approached deep of sleep. As my cloud ascends, I assume that I'm now the man I want to be, or that I am already in the place where I want to visit. I sleep in that place now. Then life strikes the tabernacle, strikes my environment, and reassembles my environment across seas or over land, and reassembles it in the likeness of my assumption. It has nothing to do with men walking across the physical desert. The whole vast world round about you is a desert. From the cradle to the grave, you and I walk as though we walk the desert. But we have a living tabernacle wherein God dwells, and it is covered with a cloud which can and does ascend when we go to sleep, or are in a state akin to sleep. Not necessarily in 2 days. It can ascend in 2 minutes. Why did they give you 2 days? If I now become the man I want to be, I may become dissatisfied tomorrow. I should at least give it a day before I decide to move on. The Bible says in 2 days, a month, or a year. Whenever you decide to move on with this tabernacle, let the cloud ascend. As it ascends, you start moving where the cloud is. The cloud is simply the garment of your consciousness, your assumption. Where the consciousness is placed, you do not have to make the physical body. It gravitates there in spite of you. The cloud is simply the garment of your consciousness, your assumption. Where the consciousness is placed, you do not have to take the physical body. It gravitates there in spite of you. So, again, where the consciousness, so where our consciousness is placed, we do not have to take the physical body. It gravitates there in spite of us. It will go there. Things happen to compel you to move in the direction where you are consciously dwelling. And now, Neville is citing the Bible, where he says, "In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also." This is from John, a classic. The many mansions are the unnumbered states within your mind, within our mind. For you, me, us are the house of God. So, Golgotha, our head, is the place where God dwells. And in my Father's house are unnumbered concepts of self. You could not in eternity exhaust what you are capable of being. If I sit quietly here and assume that I am elsewhere, I have gone and prepared a place. But if I open my eyes, the bilocation which I created vanishes, and I am back here in the physical form that I left behind me as I went to prepare a place. But I prepared the place nevertheless, and will in time dwell there physically. You do not have to concern yourself with the ways and the means that will be employed to move you across space into that place where you have gone and mentally prepared it. Simply sit quietly, no matter where you are, and mentally actualize it. So, I remember the phrase, "Be still and know that I am God." But I give you warning, do not treat it lightly, for I am conscious of what it will do to people who treat it lightly. I treated it lightly once because I just wanted to get away, based only upon the temperature of the day. It was in the deep of winter in New York, and I so desired to be in the warm climate of the Indies that I slept that night as though I slept under palm trees. Next morning, when I awoke, it was still very much winter. I had no intentions of going to the Indies that year, but distressing news came which compelled me to make the journey. It was in the midst of war when ships were being sunk right and left, but I sailed out of New York on a ship 48 hours after I received this news. It was the only way I could get to Barbados, and I arrived just in time to see my mother and say a three-dimensional goodbye to her. In spite of the fact that I had no intentions of going, the deeper self watched where the great cloud descended. I placed it in Barbados, and this tabernacle, so my body, had to go and make the journey to fulfill the command. Wherever the sole of your foot shall tread, that have I given unto you. Wherever the cloud descends in the desert, there you reassemble that tabernacle. It does seem like a teleportation of some sort, so like having this cloud around ourselves, and the cloud being the four-dimensional you, and so you place this four-dimensional you somewhere else in the desert, and there you will be. You will like be manifested or created there. So Neville continues. I sailed from New York at midnight on a ship without taking thought of submarines or anything else. I had to go. Things happened in a way that I could not have devised. I warn you, do not tread it lightly. Do not say, I will experiment and put myself in Labrador just to see if it will work. You will go to your Labrador, and then you will wonder why you ever came to this class. It will work if you dare assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled as you go to sleep. Control your mood as you go to sleep. I cannot find any better way to describe this technique than to call it a controlled waking dream. A controlled waking dream. In a dream, you lose control, but try to preceding your sleep with a complete controlled waking dream, entering into it as you do in a dream. For in a dream, you are always very dominant. You always play the part. You are always an actor in a dream, and never the audience. When you have a controlled waking dream, you are an actor, and you enter into the act of the controlled dream. But do not do it lightly, for you must then reenact it physically in a three-dimensional world. So whatever we do in this waking dream, so right before falling asleep, we will actually reenact it in our three-dimensional world. Now, before we go into our moment of silence, there is something I must make very clear, and that is this effort we discussed last night. If there is one reason in this whole vast world why people fail, it is because they are unaware of a law known to psychologists today as the law of reverse effort. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, it is with a minimum of effort. You must control the direction of the movement of your attention, but you must do it with the least effort. If there is effort in the control and you're compelling it in a certain way, you are not going to get the results. You will get the opposite results, whatever they might be. That is why we insist on establishing the basis of the Bible as Adam slept. That is the first creative act, and there is no record where he was ever awakened from this profound sleep. While he sleeps, creation stops. You change your future best when you are in control of your thoughts while in a state akin to sleep, for then effort is reduced to its minimum. Your attention seems to completely relax, and then you must practice holding your attention within that feeling, without using force and without using effort. So again, your attention seems to completely relax, and then you must practice holding your attention within that feeling, without using force and without using effort. So very important. This passage, I think, is very, very important. So I want to read it again. So your attention, so where you put your attention like a laser beam, looks like so completely relaxed. So we have our attention that is completely relaxed. And then we must practice holding our attention within that feeling. So holding the attention on the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Like for me, for example, when I looked at the glass that I wanted to have in my hand, I didn't force it, I just took it, okay? Just held it in my hand. So holding my attention within that feeling, without using force and without using effort. So we shouldn't use force, like forcing ourselves to feel something or to experience something, but like treat it lightly and without using any effort whatsoever. Do not think for a moment that it is willpower that does it. Okay, so it's not willpower that will do anything for us. So when you release Barabbas and become identified with Jesus, you do not will yourself to be it. You imagine that you are it. That is all you do. Now, as we come to the vital part of the evening, the interval devoted to prayer, let me again clarify the technique. So, maybe I should stop here and continue next time. Okay, so I hope that you found this episode interesting. It is the first one of Neville and Chat, and let's see what the future holds in store for us. And until next time, imagine wisely and profoundly and effortlessly, my friends. And now, let us go into the silence.